Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Driving Perilously, show in which we turn on the radio and talk about what it is that's going on. What it is going on is, well, I'm very confused. If you look at my hair and my beard, you think, yeah, he does look confused. No, I'm growing my beard out for a role and growing my hair out for the role too. So I have an excuse to look like that. But that doesn't mean I'm not confused. I'm confused. So my news consumption consists of YouTube and then Google trying to get me to read articles, but I don't read articles very much. I might see one headline or two headlines. But what I've learned about the headlines is that they sometimes they say the exact opposite of what the article says, and sometimes they exaggerate, and sometimes whatever. So I don't really read too many articles. I watch videos on YouTube, and from what I see on YouTube, what the hive mind, what the algorithm, what the media monster is trying to tell me, what is telling me without any variation is November matters, November matters, November matters, the election, voting, election, voting, election, 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 election. Okay, that's kind of normal for this time in the political cycle, the 4-year cycle. So for a long time I've noticed that, and I don't really like it because sometimes 80% of Congress is up for a vote, and 80% of Congress could theoretically be removed and replaced. And they don't even talk about that. They only talk about the president. Well, if people really want change, if people really want something different, why don't they talk about the people in Congress? Like every once in a while, somebody talks about term limits for Congress when a fossil gets on TV, and it's clear that they're talking about phonographs and stuff like that. It's clear that they're too old to be in office. But when it's time to vote, all they talk about is the president. So according to the algorithm, according to YouTube, everybody I see is concerned about who's going to be president. But nobody's concerned about who is president. So there seems to be widespread acceptance that the man who was sitting in the White House, who is sitting in the White House and the beaches of Delaware, is not running the country. But nobody's talking about replacing him. Like, nobody's talking about replacing him. So when Trump was in office, there was constant talk of impeachment and removal with the 25th Amendment. And it seemed like some people, half the country, whatever, wanted to get him out of office no matter what. But now we have somebody who nobody thinks is running the country, but nobody wants to get him out of office. So if the presidency matters so much in November, why doesn't it matter now? So I grew up thinking that the three branches of government, Congress, the president, and the Supreme Court, worked together or worked against each other, checks and balances, but worked to ensure a continuity of government, and the president needed to be available 24/7 in case something needed to be done right away. Congress, they meet sometimes. They don't meet all the time, but the president is on the job 24/7, and the Supreme Court doesn't meet all the time. So the Supreme Court has more of a long view, and Congress has its cycles throughout the year, and the president is there in case a call comes in at 3 a.m. to decide whether to send nuclear bombs somewhere, like important and urgent and always available. But nobody cares who's doing that until November. And once the election happens in November, the new president the new president doesn't come in till January. So it's been like 6 months. 6 months have been forgotten. It doesn't matter who's president for 6 months, but it really, 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 really matters who's president for the next 4 years. Well, 6 months is a pretty big percentage of 4 years. If it doesn't matter who's president for 6 months, why does it matter who's president? Like, what is going on? There's a ignorance of common sense. If it doesn't matter that much who's president the next 6 months, well, then why are we hysterical about the next 4 years? They should be commensurate. Obviously, 4 years is more time than 6 months, so 4 years matters more than 6 months. But if the whole point is to have somebody on guard 24/7, and nobody thinks he's on guard, so what is it? Is the algorithm hiding from me a few million people who do think Mr. Biden is fine? So there are millions of people who think he's fine, and I just don't ever see that? So for the longest time, since Obama's time, I've been done with the press. We get information from them, but I know, since Obama's time, that it's not real. It's slanted so far. And of course it started before that. It started with the wars, with the weapons of mass destruction that were not there, and with